Hello, vinyl community. This is Randy, back today with another video. Today I'm doing another contest entry. This one is for David Newton. David Newton's channel, David Newton is the name of his channel, is having a contest to celebrate 200 subscribers and his birthday. His birthday, I think he said, is on February 10, maybe it was the 11th, 9th or 10th, but the cutoff for this contest is like the 9th, and his birthday is the next day, I think, or something like that. So this is a contest for David Newton, and David has asked us to choose our favorite song or album from each of the decades beginning in the 1970s. And wow, I mean, that was a really tough. I mean, it's hard to choose your favorite song or album from a whole decade. I was giving this some thought for a while. Really difficult to come up with those. So then David actually posted another video just a couple days ago, or maybe it was just yesterday, where he took that challenge himself to name his favorite from each decade, and he realized it was very difficult. So he chose 3 from each decade, I think, and I think his rules are not real strict on this contest. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, I couldn't come up with just one record for each decade, but I'm going to start in the 1960s. So I thought what I would do is, for each decade, maybe sort of kind of identify that decade for the type of music that was associated with that decade, or music that became big during that decade. So I'm going to start with the 1960s. So the 1960s, British Invasion, I think, was the big thing. So my favorite British Invasion albums, you know, I mean, it's hard to even narrow it down to 3 British Invasion albums, but I'm going to pick the Beatles' second album. I think I like all the Beatles albums. This one is really great though, because this is their I think it's their most rock and roll album. It has well, starts off with Roll Over Beethoven, You Really Got a Hold on Me, Devil in Her Heart, Money, Long Tall Sally is on here. So yeah, rock and roll album. Girl groups, Please Mr. Postman, and then She Loves You. So I love the photographs on here, the pictures of the band when they're young, and just the whole layout of it. So that's going to be my first one for the 60s. This is on this. It's a weird reissue. I mean, this album wasn't even, I thought it wasn't even released in the UK, but this is on Apple Records. So I guess this is a later issue when the American company started using the Apple logo. Rolling Stones, Flowers. You know, once again, I mean, how do I choose a favorite Rolling Stones album? I'm big in this one because maybe this is a little bit more associated with their British Invasion days, you know, maybe when they first got started, you know, more so than Sticky Fingers and ones like that, which were also in the 60s, I believe. So, yeah, this is really sort of a compilation album. I think these maybe were some songs that weren't necessarily on albums or something like that. So Ruby Tuesday is on here, which is a song that you know, I really associate that with the 60s overall. I mean, to me that really has a 60s vibe. And yeah, Ruby Tuesday, you know, Have You Seen Your Mother, Baby? We'll Spend the Night Together. Let's see what else is on here. Mother's Little Helper would be the other big hit song, I think. You know, Sitting on a Fence is on here. So Backstreet Girl, one of my favorite Stones songs. So Flowers. Red, London. This is the mono. This is from that box set. You know, it's a reissue. Kinks. Something else. I mean, these are the 3 bands I think of as the British Invasion bands. You know, maybe the Who, I guess. Well, you know, and then the Hollies and Herman's. There's a lot of them, but these are the big 3. You know, that I think of with maybe the Who as possibly one also. So Something Else by the Kinks. The songs I really like on here, David Watts, the very first song. Harry Rag is a really cool song. And I looked that up. Harry Rag is a cigarette. It's a slang term for a cigarette. So, really cool song. Love Me Till the Sun Shines. Great song. Afternoon Tea, and then, of course, Waterloo Sunset, last song on the album. So, This is also from the reissue label. So the 1970s, what music was associated with the 70s? I mean, I'm thinking, metal, really heavy metal. So, Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, all started in the or maybe 69, but, became big in the 70s. But, I was thinking, singer-songwriters really became huge in the 70s, Carole King, James Taylor, Carly Simon, tons of singer-songwriters. So I have some singer-songwriter albums here. Gene Clark, original member of the Byrds, left after their second album, but this is an album from 1972, where it was recorded from 70 to 72. And on this one, all of the Byrds, I think, are working on this one with him. Clarence White is on this, along with Michael Clark on drums, Chris Hillman, and Roger McGuinn, and David Crosby. So it's really all the Byrds. In addition to those people, he has Pete Kleinow, plays pedal steel guitar on here. Spooner Oldham does keyboards. So Gene Clark, maybe not exactly commercially successful, but he's been reevaluated, I think, here in the 90s and the 2000s, and is much more well-known now, maybe, than he was then. This is a reissue on Friday Music, as A&M label. Or maybe it's on Sundays. Decade. So this is a good one for the Decades Challenge, I think. So, but yeah, Neil Young's Decade. This is a 3-record set, which is a basically sort of like a compilation of greatest hits for Neil Young. It was put out in '77, I think. So it was a decade from '67 to '77 when he started out. It's cool the way this fits together. That slides into there, and then, well, it slides on out. So you get this really good picture of Neil here. These aren't words. These are just this is the information about the recording of the music, and then the record slides in there. Yep. So his greatest hits from '67 to '77. So every single song on here is just fantastic. Starts out with Down to the Wire. I would say, if I had to choose some favorites, Cinnamon Girl, Ohio, of course, Harvest, Heart of Gold, everything really. So, Neil Young's Decade album. Van Morrison in the 1970s. Had quite a few albums in the 90s. Still prolific today, still producing lots of music today, but I chose Wavelength, mostly because this is one that I got when it first came out, when it was played on the radio and everything. So, love this album. Kingdom Hall, starts out with Kingdom Hall, so, but the song Wavelength is really, and then ends with Take It Where You Find It. So, beautiful album by Van Morrison. This one comes with the lyrics on the inner sleeve. Basic Warner Brothers label there. Okay, the 80s. For the 80s, I thought, maybe punk might be the best thing, or, maybe indie rock, or, but then I thought, rap really exploded in the 80s, so rap. So I don't have these on vinyl, but Follow the Leader, Eric B. and Rakim. It's a great album. I would still list Rakim as my favorite rapper. I really don't listen to rap music much anymore. I don't follow it too much anymore, but this album's great. So, the big hits on here, Follow the Leader and Microphone Fiend, I think. And, those are probably the two biggest hits. So, Eric B. and Rakim. Probably one of the greatest rap albums ever. Takes a Nation of Millions to hold us back. Public Enemy. yeah, Countdown to Armageddon, you know, Bring the Noise was a big hit on here. I think along with Don't Believe the Hype. The one I really liked on here is Cold Lampin' with Flav. So, yeah, this is comes with lyrics on the inside. I think this is a reissue CD. I don't think I got this when it came out. I think I got it a few years later. Ice-T, Freedom of Speech. I really like the way he phrases it on here. You know, he says freedom of speech. We've all got freedom of speech. You know, just watch what you say. Yeah. Truer words were never spoken, right? So yeah, this is a fantastic album. Ice-T was just extremely political, you know, back then, and yeah. I guess the thing was he had tried to do a concert somewhere, and they said that if he said a couple of words, they were going to arrest him, which I think they did, like for using like the F word maybe or something like that. Stuff now that would just seem so silly. Yeah. All right, so that was the 80s. In the 90s, I think indie rock was probably the big thing. So some indie rock that I listened to in the 90s. Peter Holsapple and Chris Stamey, two ex-members of the DBs. They got together and did this album. They were both writers for the DBs, and you know, both played guitar and both sang. So yeah, this is a fantastic album. Don't have this on vinyl, unfortunately. So these are mostly their new songs. I think really my favorite song on here, though, might be their cover of the Byrds song "Here Without You." So, cool dogs on the back. Peter Holsapple, Chris Stamey. REM. REM, you know, started in the 80s, but I think their biggest success was in the 90s, and so yeah, here's Out of Time. This is a fantastic album. Like that. These are, once again, these are not the lyrics to the songs. These are just credits and things like that. Good picture of the band there, outstanding in the field. Yeah, so some good artwork with this one, along with the music. Yeah, REM, huge band throughout the 90s. 1990s, the Bevis Frond started releasing music in England. Gosh, is this indie rock? Maybe I shouldn't have pulled this one. This is not really indie rock, I guess. This is more like psychedelic or something. But anyway, it's at least independent. I mean, it's on Reckless Records, and yeah, this didn't receive any promotion, I think, from the big record companies or anything like that. So it might be indie rock in that respect. So yeah, the Bevis Frond, Any Gas Faster. So yeah, here's the back cover of that. So the Bevis Frond is really mostly this one guy right here. These are the lyrics to the songs on this one. The Bevis Frond. Just what we're hearing in the background right now would also fall into the 90s. We are hearing, I don't know if you can read that or not, we're hearing Chapter House, Whirlpool. Here is what that Bevis Frond record looks like. So then we get into the O's, and I'm going to say that when we get into the noughts, you know, the 2000s, that the big thing that happened then was sort of like the revival of rock and roll, I would call it. Yeah, just straight ahead rock and roll. So the bands that I have in mind for that are The Strokes, first of all. I'm a huge Strokes fan. This is their first album, which came out in 2001. I think. Is This It? Is the first song on here. The whole album is just so great. Yeah, Last Night I think was another hit song on here. So, Strokes. Here's what that record looks like. Custom label. The White Stripes were really certainly one of the biggest bands, I think, in the O's. This is Elephant. This is their fourth album. I think it's their fourth album. I'm really not sure about that though. This is spread across 2 records. This one, of course, has the huge hit song, Seven Nation Army. Starts with Seven Nation Army. So this is the one that really put them on the map, I think, as far as mainstream America goes. So, yeah. Some came with an inner sleeve with lyrics and information on the other side. One of these records is red, and the other one is on white vinyl. Sort of an interesting photo there. Kings of Leon. This is their 4th album from, I think, about 2002 or so. 2008. Yeah, 2008, a little bit later than I thought. So, yeah, Only by the Night. So, yeah, their 4th album, so they'd been fairly popular before then, but then they really broke out with this one. They had Sex on Fire was the huge hit song. So, yeah, but once again, the whole album, I think, is really fantastic. And this is all black vinyl and just have a custom label there. So, that's it. Those are my decades. Those are my, well, I guess you call them top albums for those genres, for those decades, for what I'm calling what those decades are associated with. So, David has a bonus question for us to name our favorite love songs, or it could be an anti-love song. So I am choosing Lou Reed's Rock and Roll Animal album. This album has 2 fantastic love songs on it. The first one on side 1 is Heroin. Lou's homage to heroin is, I guess, his favorite drug at the time. It's his life, and it's his wife, and it's his life. It's going to be the death of him. Really beautiful love song. But really, I guess if I had to choose just one, it would be Rock and Roll. The other, Lou's homage to rock and roll. So, yeah, this is just a great album, live album. Came out in 1975. Those are 2 old Velvet Underground songs, Heroin and Rock and Roll, but I like the versions that are on this album better than the Velvet Underground versions. So that's it, David. So congratulations on reaching 200 subscriptions, and happy birthday. Yeah, that's my Decades Challenge. So thanks very much for watching. Hope everybody has a great day.